Have you ever felt so exhausted that even getting out of bed feels like a battle? Burnout can make you believe you're finished, but what if it's not the end? What if burnout is actually the beginning of your breakthrough? In this video on Motivation Vault, you'll discover how to rise after exhaustion, how to rebuild your strength, and how to turn your lowest moments into the fuel for your greatest growth. Stay with us until the end, because the tools you'll learn today can transform not just how you recover, but how you thrive. Have you ever reached a point where even after hours of sleep, you wake up more tired than when you went to bed? Where every task feels like climbing a mountain, and even the things you once loved feel like a burden? That heavy weight on your chest, that emptiness inside, that constant thought of, can't keep going like this, that's not just tiredness. That's burnout. And if you're here listening to these words, it's because some part of you is ready to rise again. Burnout is not about weakness. It's not about failing. In fact, burnout happens to the strongest people, to the ones who push, give, and sacrifice until there is nothing left in the tank. It comes to those who carry too much for too long without ever setting down the load. And here's the truth most people don't say out loud: burnout doesn't mean you're broken. It means you've been strong for too long without enough care for yourself. It means your body and soul are crying out not for surrender but for change. Think about it. Life often teaches us through pressure. Just like a diamond is formed under immense stress, your exhaustion can be the signal that a transformation is waiting for you. That's why hitting rock bottom doesn't have to be the end. It can be the start of something far greater than you ever imagined. Because when you're at the bottom, the only way forward is up. But I want you to stay with me until the very end of this message, because I promise you something valuable. If you listen closely and keep going with me, you will not just understand what burnout is, you will discover how to turn it into your greatest breakthrough. You will learn how to rise again, and with more strength, more clarity, and more passion than you had before. This isn't just about surviving, this is about thriving. You see, every human being has two choices when faced with exhaustion. The first is to give in, to believe the lie that this is all there is. But the second and far more powerful choice is to look burnout in the face and say, this is not where my story ends. That's the choice of leaders. That's the choice of fighters. That's the choice of people who refuse to let their circumstances define their destiny. And maybe right now you feel drained, lost, or stuck. But understand this: within you is a fire that burnout cannot extinguish. It may be dim, but it's still alive. And by the time you finish this video, you'll know exactly how to feed that fire until it burns brighter than ever before. That is my promise to you. So stay with me. Because what you're about to hear is not just a message, it's an invitation to stop running on empty, to stop believing you're finished, and to start writing the next chapter of your life. If you've ever wished for a fresh start, if you've ever longed to feel alive again, then know this: your breakthrough begins the moment you refuse to give up. And that moment, my friend, is now. Burnout often feels like a thief. It steals your energy, your joy, your creativity, and even your belief in yourself. But the truth is, burnout is not the end of you. It is a message, a signal from your mind and body telling you that something must change. And here's the powerful part: once you recognize the message, you gain back control. You are no longer a victim of exhaustion, but the author of a new chapter. Psychology teaches that burnout happens when the balance between effort and recovery breaks. We push, we strive, but we forget to recharge. And the human brain, as strong as it is, cannot run on empty forever. That is why even small acts of self-care, even short breaks, have the power to reset your energy and focus. They may feel insignificant, but repeated consistently, they rebuild your inner strength. Think of it like this: the same way a phone battery dies if it is never plugged in, your spirit runs down if it is never restored. But once you connect to the right source, whether through rest, reflection, or renewing habits, your power returns. Burnout may strip you of energy, but it cannot strip you of potential that remains inside you, waiting to be reignited. So instead of seeing burnout as a dead end, view it as a turning point. It is your chance to pause, to listen to what your soul is asking for, and to rise with a strategy that makes you stronger than before. Exhaustion is not your weakness. It is your wake-up call. And answering that call is how you begin the journey from burnout to breakthrough. When you're caught in the grip of burnout, it feels as though every step forward demands twice the effort and delivers half the reward. But here is a truth you must hold on to. Renewal begins in the mind long before it shows in your actions. Burnout convinces you that you are powerless, but science tells us that even the smallest shift in perspective rewires the brain. The moment you begin to see exhaustion not as a wall, but as a signal, you start reclaiming your strength. Your mind thrives on meaning. When you attach pain to purpose, fatigue transforms into fuel. This is why some people, despite facing relentless challenges, continue to rise, because they decide their struggle is shaping them rather than shrinking them. And that choice, repeated daily, reshapes not just the way they think, but the way they live. This is where the power of micro-recovery comes in. It doesn't take weeks away from life to reset. It takes intentional moments. Breathing deeply for 5 minutes. Stepping outside to feel sunlight on your face. Writing down a single thing you're grateful for. These practices may seem too small to matter, yet psychology proves they activate the nervous system, reduce stress, and restore clarity. Like drops of water filling an empty glass, these small renewals rebuild your inner reservoir. Burnout thrives on neglect, but healing thrives on attention. The more you listen to what your body and spirit ask for, the faster you shift from drained to determined. Every pause becomes progress. Every choice to rest becomes preparation. And slowly what once felt like defeat becomes the soil of your comeback. Burnout is not a signal to stop living. It is a signal to start living smarter. Recovery after burnout isn't just about rest, it's about rebuilding a foundation strong enough to carry you forward. Imagine a house standing on weak ground. No matter how beautiful it looks, it will eventually collapse. In the same way, if you only patch the surface without strengthening the base, exhaustion will return. That foundation begins with habits, not giant, overwhelming changes, but small, consistent practices that reprogram your mind and body to thrive. Science shows us that habits shape identity. Each small choice whispers a message to your brain. This is who I am becoming. When you choose to sleep 1 hour earlier, your brain begins to identify you as someone who values renewal. When you replace negative self, talk with empowering words. You step into the identity of someone who believes in their own resilience. Over time, these choices stack up, and the weight of burnout is replaced by the momentum of growth. What's powerful is how habits influence energy. Burnout drains you by scattering focus and draining willpower. But when habits take over, they remove decision fatigue. You don't waste energy debating whether to act. You simply follow the rhythm you've built. This is why those who thrive don't rely on bursts of motivation. They rely on systems that protect their energy and direct their focus. Rebuilding from burnout is not about dramatic leaps, but about steady steps. With each step, you prove to yourself that exhaustion does not own you. You are in control. With every small habit, you are not only recovering, you are rising into a stronger, more intentional version of yourself. When you begin to rebuild through small habits, the next breakthrough comes from redefining how you view stress. Most people see stress as the enemy, the very thing that caused their burnout. But psychology teaches us that stress itself is not the problem. It is how we interpret it. Stress is energy, and energy can either be destructive or productive depending on how it's channeled. If you see every demand as a threat, stress will crush you. But if you reframe it as a challenge, your body and mind respond with strength instead of fear. This shift in perspective can transform exhaustion into empowerment. Think about athletes. Their bodies are pushed to the edge constantly, but they don't label that pressure as destruction. They see it as training, as growth. In the same way, when life presses on you, you have the choice to see it as weight or as resistance building your strength. This reframing doesn't deny the reality of pain. It acknowledges it while extracting the fuel hidden inside it. Another key part of recovery is creating boundaries. Burnout often comes from giving everything to everyone else and leaving nothing for yourself. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors that let in what nourishes you and block out what drains you. By learning to say no, by prioritizing what truly matters, you create space for your energy to regenerate. Without boundaries, habits collapse. With boundaries, habits thrive. Burnout feels like an ending, but with the right perspective, it becomes the start of a healthier, more intentional life. By reframing stress and protecting your energy with boundaries, you set yourself up not just to recover, but to rise stronger than before. Once you begin protecting your energy with boundaries, the next step is to reconnect with your inner purpose. Burnout often happens when your daily actions drift too far from what truly gives you meaning. You might be working hard, achieving goals, even pleasing others, but inside you feel empty. That emptiness is your mind's way of telling you that something vital is missing. Purpose is the fuel that no amount of sleep or rest can replace. Without it, you wake up tired even after a full night's rest. With it, you can work through challenges with renewed energy. Psychologists remind us that humans are wired for meaning. We can endure almost anything if we believe it has purpose. That's why reconnecting with what matters most to you is a breakthrough moment in recovery. It could be your family, your dreams, your faith, or the desire to make an impact in the world. When you attach your small habits to that deeper purpose, even the smallest action feels powerful. Reading one page of a book, going for a short walk, or taking time to breathe. These no longer feel like chores. They become acts of alignment with the life you want to live. This alignment builds emotional resilience. When setbacks come, as they always do, your purpose is why you started and keeps you from collapsing back into exhaustion. It becomes your anchor. Reconnecting with purpose doesn't require massive changes overnight. It requires quiet reflection, honest answers, and the courage to realign your path. The moment you do, your habits gain weight, your actions gain meaning, and your energy flows with clarity again. When purpose becomes your anchor, the next step is rebuilding momentum through small, consistent actions. Burnout convinces you that you need a dramatic change, a complete restart, or a grand plan to recover. But the truth is, transformation begins with small wins stacked on top of each other. The human brain is designed to respond to stress, no matter how tiny. Each step forward releases dopamine, the chemical of motivation, and this builds a positive cycle that slowly replaces exhaustion with energy. Start with the smallest possible action that aligns with your purpose. If your body feels drained, commit to stretching for 2 minutes a day. If your mind feels scattered, write down 3 thoughts before bed. If your spirit feels heavy, list 1 thing you are grateful for each morning. These actions may look insignificant, but they are psychological triggers. They signal to your brain moving forward. And forward is the exact direction burnout never wants you to go. Momentum is not about speed. It is about direction. When you act consistently, even in small ways, you teach your brain to trust you again. That trust rebuilds confidence, and confidence restores power. Soon, what felt impossible begins to feel manageable. The weight on your shoulders doesn't disappear overnight, but step by step, you grow strong enough to carry it. Remember this truth: it's not the size of your actions that create breakthroughs, but the consistency of them. Burnout loses its grip when you prove day after day that you still have the strength to move forward. And with every small habit built in alignment with your purpose, you are not just recovering, you are rising. When the weight of burnout begins to lift, the final step is choosing how you will rise from it. Recovery is not only about feeling better, it is about building a stronger version of yourself than the one that fell. This is where resilience is born. Resilience is not the absence of struggle, it is the ability to grow because of it. When you transform burnout into breakthrough, you prove to yourself that even your lowest moments can become the foundation of your highest growth. Think of it like this: exhaustion taught you what drains you, but recovery teaches you what fuels you. Burnout revealed the cracks in your routine, but breakthrough shows you how to rebuild with strength. Every time you rise after being broken, your confidence deepens because you no longer fear falling the same way again. You know that even in the darkest valleys, you have the power to stand, to heal, and to create a new beginning. Psychology tells us that meaning is the greatest shield against despair. When you attach meaning to your struggle, it stops being wasted pain and becomes powerful preparation. The energy that once pushed the fire now becomes that carries you forward. You step into your life with fresh eyes, sharper focus, and an unshakable belief that you can thrive, not just survive. This is the breakthrough to realize that burnout was never the end of your story. It was a chapter designed to prepare you for the life you were meant to live. From this moment on, you are not just rising higher, stronger, and unstoppable. The exhaustion that once threatened you has now become the very reason you will succeed. So what about you? Have you ever faced burnout that almost broke you, but later became the reason you grew stronger? Share your story in the comments, because your journey might inspire someone else today. And if this message touched your heart, make sure you subscribe to Motivation Vault and stay tuned. The next video will take you even deeper into building unstoppable strength. You won't want to miss it.